Now let's head to the third segment of this program. And in the studios we are with Colonel Lamin Sanyang, Public Relations Officer, Gambia Armed Forces. And we'll be talking about the shooting incident on Sunday, which happened on the 25th of August 2024. Yeah. A routine patrol of the State Guard Battalion mounted a SNAP vehicular checkpoint, and there was a shooting incident. And it's important for us to engage you on this, and we were also waiting for a press release from the Gambia Armed Forces. I mean, we've seen this coming. We definitely know you are always on top of things when it comes to such kind of incidents. So on that note, you are welcome on the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure once again being here on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff and the entire membership of the Gambia Armed Forces. We bring you greetings saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yes. So let's proceed and delve straight to this incident. Can you tell us how and what happened?
Actually, to put it into context, over the past couple of months, I think from, let's say, January, there have been series of incidents involving road traffic accidents, some in the form of hit and run, whereby passers-by or those crossing the highway usually get run over by vehicles. And most of the time, the drivers don't normally stop. They got away. I can remember one classical example where it even involved a lady on wheelchairs, who was knocked down. So over time, we don't sit and wait for people for the outcry to be out there. It was our observation that within our mandate we have an outfit of the armed forces, that is the Republican National Guard, which is mandated by the Constitution to perform roles that are similar to that of the police. And that involves manning checkpoints in strategic areas and also protection of key national infrastructure. So the OIC Conference Center happens to be around that area, and also as a way of responding to this spate of hit and run incidences, we usually mount checkpoints around that area. But for this case, they are usually in the form of SNAP vehicular checkpoints. SNAP in the sense that, all of a sudden it is there, the next minute it's not there. So if you don't do that, in the military, surprise is also a tactic, of war. So the Republican National Guards, under which you have the Guards Battalion in Fajara and also the State Guards Battalion, is mandated under the Constitution to perform such roles that the police are also mandated with. So on this fateful Friday night, or Saturday, for example, the 25th, we had this SNAP vehicular checkpoint, and all the way down to around 2:30 on Monday morning. And this vehicle approached the checkpoint and hit one of the cones, the second one, and it was even, signaled to stop by the guards on duty. But it still, sped off and nearly hit one of the soldiers. So even the soldiers among themselves, one had to push the other so that he's not gotten run over by the vehicle. And then he still continued. So one of the cutoffs, in an attempt to control the vehicle, had to open fire, which led to one of the occupants suffering some minor injuries. So after that, a chase was initiated, but it was not too far, and then the vehicle had to stop. The occupants were apprehended, and then the one that was injured was given first aid by our personnel, which is also procedure, and then later transferred to Ndemban Health Center in Bakau. So the military police of the State Guards Battalion was called in to commence the investigations. And from the preliminary investigations that we've conducted, it was observed that the occupants were all driving under the influence, especially for the driver, which is a traffic offense. And so far, that's what we have got. The investigation still is ongoing.
Yes. How many of them were in the vehicle?
There were 5 in the vehicle, including the driver.
Well, should that even be the case? I mean, at some point, is that right giving to the Gambian forces to open fire when it comes to such incidents?
Yes, it depends sometimes on the situation at hand, and these are very swift actions that you have to take as a soldier. If you see that lives are in danger, and then there is that threat there. So being 2:30 a.m., that's the wee hours, and usually most of the attacks that we have had in this country are usually around that time. If you look at the conveyance of some of these attackers, they usually use vehicles. A case in point is the Kartong attack that we had way back in the 90s or in the 2000s. The assailants hijacked an ambulance from Gunjur or Brufut thereabout, and then conducted this heinous act. And and this was done around the wee hours of the morning. So these are some of the lessons that we should always keep in mind and not forget that they have been there. We have had these instances where, attackers or would-be criminals would use these kind of methods. So if somebody comes at a checkpoint, we never had any preconceived mind that this was going to happen. But when you are there, you have to expect the unexpected. So, and the enemy can be anybody. So when you mount a checkpoint, you have to expect all kind of issues. So being signaled to stop, and they refused to stop, proceeded, and even nearly crashed on our soldiers. Continued the chase, or on the rampage. So you have no choice but to use minimum force, or the minimum, kind of effort to put a control to that kind of situation. And that's why when the soldier aimed, he aimed at the tires and not at the vehicle. If he had wanted to aim at the vehicle, they would have gotten them because they were at the cutoff. That was way after. So if they had aimed to shoot and kill, they would have been able to. But what we attempted to do was to use minimum force, and that's by trying to disable the vehicle, then after that apprehend the assailant.
I wonder, how often do you have such encounters? Because you've said that since January, the cases of hit and run, I think they call them, have sort of been increasing. How well are we dealing with apprehending those, prosecuting them? How do you see it? Because these things matter to deter others.
Well, the issue about apprehension and prosecution, that has to do with the police. Our job is the preservation of law and is the protection of law and preservation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of this country. So when it comes to preservation of law and order, that is the domain of the internal security agencies. And even for these people's case, after we processed them, we handed them over to the police. But coming to the issue of the frequency and how often, I looked at the statistics yesterday before coming to this program, because I usually prepare myself. The Gambia is ranked 8th in the world in terms of road traffic accidents.
Yes.
So that's an alarming trend, and it's not a good record. So it means that we have to go back to the drawing board and look at what is fundamentally wrong. And this kind of situation of somebody running over a military checkpoint is not, you don't take that lightly, because to us it could be somebody who is probably more prepared than us, because you don't go and ram on a military checkpoint, just like that. So we don't take chances or give room for guessing who might it be and all that. So for our case, nothing is small, and you don't take chance, especially for a military checkpoint. They are there to do a job, and that is to secure that area. And anything that comes that is going to threaten or hamper or impede their execution of that function, I think it behoves on those on the checkpoint to take the right decision, and they had done that.
Okay. With this apprehended 5, are they in your custody or the police custody? What do we know about them? You've said that they were under the influence of alcohol. What else do we know about them, and in what custody?
This brings in the issue about the reforms. In the past, you may have instances where, you know, the military may have to detain somebody like civilians. But since 2017, we turned a new page. When it comes to detention of civilians, once we process them, we hand them over to the police. And in this situation, once they were processed by the military police, took their statements and all that, we handed them to the Gambia Police Force. And throughout the country, all our engagements and activities have taken that dimension. Anytime there's an incident, our military personnel are involved. If civilians are part of those apprehended, we hand them over to the police because that's their jurisdiction.